All right, you're welcome back to Rubbin Minds. We did have to break the conversation there talking about insecurity, but we're moving on now to something that's quite inspirational. Of course, we're going to be talking about education and everything around it. And I have with me a very special guest, someone a lot of you probably got to know a few months ago. When he broke what we can easily call a record. I have it with me, Ayodele Dada. Thanks for being here today. I don't know how to put this. Are you Nigeria's best graduating student ever? Is that what you are?
Well,
I just want to be sure, because I've seen so many headlines. You're the first person with a perfect GPA. Is that in Unilag or is that in Nigeria? Do you know?
Okay, I'm sure it is in Unilag, but
the only one
I can't
Unilag
really say for Nigeria.
Okay,
yeah.
so you had a 5.0 CGPA.
Yeah.
That's. I mean, I went to university, so I know how hard that must have been. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And it's an absolute honor to be with you here today. Take us through your story, you know, going into school and all of that. What did you study, first of all?
Psychology.
Psychology.
Yeah.
Was that your choice?
Yeah, it was my choice.
Why psychology?
I understood that my passion and my ability intersected in psychology. So I care about the human mind, how to optimize it, how to improve the potential, self-development and improvement in general. And I had an experience that just showed me that I was passionate about it. So I walked into a bookstore, I picked a title that was connected to psychology, and I lost track of time. I was reading it, an hour passed, and the owner of the store had to tell me, "Young man, are you ready to buy this book or not?" So I just knew that this was something that fascinated me deeply, and it wouldn't really feel like work.
It's such a deep course. I mean, I studied law, but I know I did a psychology course a few times, and it made me question a lot of things about life.
Yeah.
You know, were there points through your education where you wondered what was the meaning of all of this?
Oh, definitely, because there are some concepts that you grapple with and you start asking very difficult questions. And it's understandable because psychology has a past in philosophy. So, of course, you keep asking questions. You had people like Descartes, who will tell you that, you know, I doubt, that's why I exist. And so leading on to psychology, where you're supposed to question assumptions, you don't take things on anecdotal.
Yeah.
Yes. So, and you say, oh, I know someone who it happened to. Can we verify that? So psychology is scientific, but not as like a hard science, like the applied sciences.
I mean, I want to believe you go to school so that you can apply it somewhere. What are you planning on doing now? Are you going to further your education? Do you plan on being a psychologist? What are you going to do with this degree now?
Officially, to be called a psychologist, one has to have a PhD. So I am not there yet, so I have to at least study more. Well, not necessarily a PhD, but at least a master's.
Okay.
So I need to at least get that to be officially recognized as such. And I believe in application because I feel that is the gap that has been the missing link so far. That's why many people don't identify with psychology. It has to be applied to solve problems. There has to be utility in it. And when people see that, then it has meaning to them. And, of course, the perception about the discipline changes.
Yeah. Teaching?
Well, at some point, yes, but that not as a central career, but at least straddling the line between application in the real world and teaching in academia.
I've seen a few of your interviews, I mean, since the news broke, you know, we're talking about your social life and how parts of it maybe didn't necessarily exist. There was a controversial comment about girlfriends or something.
Oh, definitely.
What was that about?
Okay, so I made a conscious choice not to have a girlfriend, and of course I read a study that showed that you improved your chances of topping your class and possibly your school if you didn't have a girlfriend, and it makes sense.
Really?
So yes.
Did you read that study in psychology or just randomly?
Oh, it's a psychological study.
Okay.
So, and it makes sense because relationships have considerable time investments. So if you require time to study and time to do other things, and you also need time to at least maintain the relationship, then your chances improve if you have more time on your hands and you're able to apply it to where you want. So I incorporated that into my lifestyle, and yeah, I would say
so there
it
were no
paid off.
temptations at all? Were there,
Oh, definitely.
Were there no moments where you were like, ah, this girl, let me just try? You know, how were you able to say? Because I mean, university is a community where things like this are supposed to happen.
Sure,
you know?
sure.
People are free. People have left their homes. They are mingling with the opposite sex. There's also peer pressure. How did you resist all of that?
Okay, well, There were always girls. I got considerable female attention from some quarters. Some were very persistent, but I'm a very resolved and determined person. If I say I'm doing, I don't put it in too many words, but I follow through what I want to do. And then peer pressure, well, I didn't really have so much of that because I have a belief that the person at the head of many queues in the world may be blind. So because of that, I'm able to avoid conformity because if I follow these people to do this, they are following someone who is following someone who may be following a blind person. So I had no guarantee that if I followed a trend, I wasn't following a blind person by several steps, along the line. And so conformity for me was not so much of a challenge because I already knew certain things I wanted to achieve. And yeah.
How much of this was your own doing with regards to you making these decisions, or how much of it was also from your parents? Because I mean, there are probably people who are watching now who are wondering, what can I tell my child to maybe do things this way? Because I mean, it's hard. It's very hard. There's sex everywhere now. Sex is it's everywhere pretty much.
Definitely.
So for someone to say, okay, I'm not going to do it and stand by it, how did you do it? Was it all you?
It has to be mostly me, or it was mostly me, and it has to be mostly the individual because there's only so much other people can do. They can advise, they can encourage, they can try to inspire and all, but if you don't buy into it, it just won't work. So you have to really believe it, and you have to see the end of the story or the end of the road, and you know that this is not forever. There is an exit at some point. You're just doing this because of that. So you're able to tie it into your goals, and so you know there's a purpose to this. I'm not just like punishing myself. People are having fun, and I don't
Exactly.
So it was.
So did you have fun in school?
Well, to an extent, I did. So I attended some parties. I went
like one a year or something.
No, more than that. Yeah, more than. So I wasn't the so-called effico kind of person.
Okay.
I didn't believe in isolating myself in the library. I'm a poor recommendation for library use because I didn't really use the library so much. I tried to mix with people, spoke to all kinds of people, and I think that it gives one a fuller grasp or a fuller education. So if you go to the club and later you're able to talk to someone who has been to the club, at least you have common grounds to relate. And so it wasn't just for me about burying myself in books in a private place. You learn more when you interact with people and apply what you use. For example, a course like psychology, if you can't use it to develop better relationships with people,
So what's your relationship with, right now? Are you still open to it? Are you still
definitely.
in that space where you're not?
No, I've changed.
Isn't it going to affect whatever career you want to choose? That's to say it's a distraction.
Okay, so then I needed to do that because, as you said, the barrage of suggestions saying, okay, do this and all. But after a while, you understand that, yes, if you're going to get married someday, of course, you have to, put yourself out there. And so, yes, I've changed that. I'm not.
So you're in a relationship now?
Sure.
Oh, you're in a relationship? Who's this girl? Was this someone you met in school or someone outside of
sure, in school, someone I met in school.
You were friends all through?
Yeah.
You friend zoned her first then?
Sure.
Is she still a student?
No.
Okay.
We're all done from school.
Great stuff. Well, I want to talk about all of the gifts we heard you were getting or supposed to get. I heard something about a house from a particular organization. Did that come through?
Well,
or an apartment or something like that?
I don't know anything about that, honestly, because, okay, so the story went this way. I got to because I currently work in a multinational.
Okay.
So I got to the office and people were congratulating me. Oh, wow, when is the housewarming? I said, sorry, I don't know anything about that. They said, but we're seeing it online, and showed me a picture. You have a house. I said, well, maybe I need to know that I have the house too, because I didn't know anything about that. So honestly, there was really no house that I got. That's the fact.
So did you even hear from the organization?
No, I haven't heard from the organization.
That's very strange, because there were publications like everywhere online and in print saying that you had gotten this luxury apartment and something along the lines of someone who had a 5.0 GPA shouldn't be looking for a house or something. So you didn't get the apartment?
No, I haven't.
And you still haven't heard from them?
At all, I haven't.
Interesting. That's very interesting. What about, you went to the National Assembly, I believe?
Yes.
What was that trip about?
Okay, so I have to acknowledge the role of Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila. So he just gave me a call and said I should come see him. And I had no idea that he lived just next door. You know, we all live in Surulere, and his house is just a walking distance from where I live. And I got there and he was so encouraging and really supportive, and said, okay, he wanted some recognition from the House of Assembly to inspire others. And he took care of all the logistics, and you know, he even spoke on the floor and said, okay, this is something that should inspire others. And I was really, I felt really moved by the enormity and the intensity of the whole thing. It was, I see these people on TV, so I never had the dream or the belief that I'll ever, you know, meet them in person, and it was a profound moment for me.
Great stuff. You got 1 million naira. Did you get that one at least?
Okay, yes. Otumba Akinlabi, Naira Bet, yes.
So you
sure
got that
he
one?
did, yes,
okay.
yes.
At least one thing came through. I want to talk generally about education in Nigeria, and talking about the school you went to, not necessarily about Unilag, about how universities work in Nigeria. Do you think you achieved this in spite of our educational system or because of it?
Okay, I think that I'll look at it in both ways. I think that yes, most part was in spite of it, but there were some cases where because of it, because I had some very unique lecturers in my department in Unilag who just saw the future and wanted to incorporate things they saw in foreign universities into our curriculum. They got some opposition for it, but eventually it scaled through. And I think that that helped. So it gave us a wider view of the world and made us better able to cope. You know, at least I feel it has prepared us better for the world out there. But then, yes, there were challenges because we know how the system is, and the challenges were more on basic things like amenities and all of that. So we felt it could have been better. But I saw that there were moves to improve it, at least before I left. I saw some really marked improvements, and I was able to compare, you know, when I came in and when I was leaving, I saw, yeah, several things have changed.
A bit,
yes, so I feel that there's hope that at least things will improve in that regard.
Before we go, I want to talk about JAM. How many times did you write JAM?
Okay, I wrote JAM twice.
Twice.
Yes.
Now, there's a new regulation now that JAM is going to last 3 years. So if you write JAM now, it's valid for 3 years, and the cut-off mark has been lowered to 180. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think that's a good thing?
Well, I do not endorse lowering standards on a personal level, but I can empathize with those who feel, well, this thing has to be lowered, because really, if these people are leaving secondary schools, and we know how some secondary schools are in Nigeria, and then they are facing an exam that was based on a previous level or previous expectation from secondary school, where you believe that people should know this, but then they don't really know that, and they have to be tested on it, assuming that they know it. Then it means that at least there has to be some parity between the standards. Yes, what we see obviously is that standards are lower, but I believe that in the long run, everything will net out.
Thank you very much, Ayodele, for being here today. I want to continue this conversation. I probably will outside of the camera. It's such an honor to meet you. And thanks for continuing to inspire Nigerians.
So Thank you.
And hope you come back next time when we invite you.
Oh, sure. Definitely.
We'll take a quick break now and be right back with more right here on Rubbin Minds. Please stay with us.